Welcome all to your new favorite podcast. This is Critical Dispatch 6. We got Alan Thomas joining us. He's going to be joining us shortly. Hello, Jacob. How's life been?
Uh, Life has been good so far, to quote some classic rock singer.
Life's been good to me so far.
Don't quit your day job. You were trying to learn guitar at one point. Remember that?
I was, yeah, both guitar and bass. And I ended up losing the bass in a fire. Well, a fire and rain damage. But the guitar,
Sounds like a lot of treble.
I mean, I'll allow it. I kind of walked right into that one. And the guitar, I just kind of lost motivation to keep up with because I was a depressed mess at the time. Now, granted, not much
And
has
you have
changed.
ADHD.
That true. Sorry, my cat is to one of my cats is to my right, and he wanted to interject. I would pick him up, but he does not like to be picked up. So
Well, to be fair, everyone's to your right, Adam.
true. Everyone
You're
is to
one of
my
the most left-wing people I know.
true.
Not even because you learned a bunch of like theory or anything, or have, to be frank, like coherent political views all the time. You're just like emotionally driven to be like the most left wing sounding person you can possibly be,
I
and I
mean,
love that for you.
just because it's correct doesn't mean I'm any less offended. Let's see. Alan has not joined us yet, but yeah, Alan Thomas is a.
We might want to tell him to check his junk mail. That's happened to me sometimes.
He hadn't even seen the message. But I will text him, or I will text the group chat. But in the meantime, we have our junior interviewee Sherman here. He is rubbing up against my desk, and he is going to give us the hard hitting questions, of course, like where is my food? Why have I not been given treats? It has been 6 minutes since you have last pet me. I am offended. Oh, there he is on camera now. You just caught a quick glimpse of. Yep,
There we are.
they both do that now. Oh, too hot for YouTube. Cat butt.
So, Adam, did you know I'm going to be in Montevallo on Saturday?
Oh, that actually could not be better timing because I am off Saturday. I'm usually not off Saturday.
Nice. So I'm going to the Alabama Coalition for Immigrant Justice block party.
Sherman, off of the keyboard, buddy. He was stepping
Here's a
all
flyer.
over.
Of course, there are virtual flyers, but rooted in the South.
I might stop by then because yeah, I'm usually not off Saturdays, but
Yeah.
Because my work has been real stingy about labor. I think they cut me Saturday for that reason. Which I mean, I do other things to make money. Am a contract assassin. I do OnlyFans, things like that.
Right.
But honestly,
Yeah.
let's
You
in the
kill in a video game.
I do kill in video games. That's true. That is honestly true. I did beat
You're
up a
a
bunch.
contract assassin for coins in a video game.
That's true. I did beat up a bunch of robots in a video game yesterday. I was playing one called Atomic Heart, and it's funny because Atomic Heart was made by Russian developers, and it is set in a game. It is a game set where the Soviet Union won World War II. The Soviet Union are the technical masters of the planet. Math, sciences, pretty much every damn thing they are reigning champions of. And I'm like,
I
oh,
mean, they kind of won World War II in real life too, didn't they?
true, but yeah, I saw the Soviet Union being glorified to this extent, and I'm just like, what could have possibly given it away that this development studio was Russian? What could have possibly given it away?
He's asking us a question, Adam, in the
Ye-
message. Yeah, there's a lot of Russian nationalists who it has nothing to do with like communism or socialism, but they like glorify the Soviet Union the same way that like uh a lot of Southerners glorify the Confederacy. Although to be fair, the Confederacy was, compared to the Soviet Union, they were complete losers. Right? They didn't even like they didn't even assassinate their main enemy until after they lost the war. And then they went around they went running around in white sheets for like 100 years afterwards because they were so butthurt. But so I don't know if that's a good comparison, but yeah, it's like sometimes like lost causes, literally like that.
That's
Is
true.
that sound coming from us, Adam?
Yeah, I just I just put on a low volume background music.
Okay, bet. Yeah, sometimes lost causes like that are appealing to people with a certain kind of reactionary uh, spirit, you know. And I mean, the Soviet Union was like a big empire,
Oh
basically,
yeah,
and
they were
a
huge.
big world power. The way that like Russia isn't a world power to the same extent that like China is now. I think like China is really the bigger. Um, Russia is a threat in how like in like hard power to Europe. China is a threat in like soft power all over the world, right? And that's one of the things that's dumb about the Trump administration is like either they're dumb or they really want China to win because they don't understand that like we don't do foreign aid just out of the goodness of our heart. We do it so that we can maintain dominance. And I'm not saying that's good or bad, right? I like that children get fed, uh, and I like that China has less power, right? It's like you got to look at it in a realistic way. This is the game of nations, you know? Like like you feed Africa so that you can have leverage in Africa.
Yeah, yeah, that's honestly the point there. Like the Americans don't usually get involved in other countries unless something is in it for us. Like we are
No country does. That's how nations work. They're self-interested.
yeah, like we're not just in the Middle East to stop Iran from having a nuclear weapon for the umpteenth time. We're there for honestly pressure from the Israelis this time, but there for more than that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Which
I mean, although honestly, if you look at it in a reductive way, and this is not even really reductive, we know this is the case, right? Is that like a lot of it has to do with Trump's ego, you know? Like I don't know. Like what is he we know Dick Cheney was benefiting from the Iraq war uh, like financially, right? Like a lot of this is like second term ego trip. Just like with the tariffs, right? Like the business community doesn't even it's just so stupid because the business community, except for like very narrow parts of it, sometimes don't benefit from the tariffs, right? But that's another example of like we do stupid stuff that's bad and that every economist and foreign policy expert will tell you is bad just because of Trump's ego, you know?
I think the thing with it is, I think the big thing with tariffs is that we used to do them, which is
Yeah.
which is what I think is part of the reason why Donald Trump is wanting to bring them back
Yeah. Well,
specifically.
that's the thing. It's like primitive thinking, right? He's into all this primitive thinking where you don't just use economic leverage in Latin America and in the Middle East. You actually go in guns blazing and invade them. You don't do trade deals, or anything like that. You just do tariffs. And some of these far right people have this fantasy that we could have a functioning U.S. government these days and just fund it off of tariffs instead of the income tax. No, we can't. That's a terrible idea. Don't even try it. Don't even go there. Like, there's all these people who are like who think that if we went back to like the early 1900s economic policies, we could have a thriving nation. No, no, don't go there. We don't need like a second like Gilded Age. Like, there's a lot of talk about how bad the Federal Reserve is. The Federal Reserve is fine, right? It's just an independent agency that regulates our financial system and our money supply, right? We don't need politicians directly controlling all of that. The reason Trump wants to directly control it is because he thinks that he can make himself look better in the short term. It's a terrible. Now, can you criticize the Federal Reserve from an economic standpoint? Sure, right? A lot of what they operate on is on theory, you know. It's literal. It's they think of themselves as like economic doctors who are gonna be like, we're gonna give you this medicine. It's gonna have some side effects in terms of you having higher rates for your loans and everything, and having to spend less. But it will help the overall economy, and are there going to be other economists who are going to tell them, well, we don't actually think this is working? Sure. Uh, but that doesn't mean that we need like know-it-all like politicians who like ruin everything they touch to come in and tell the Federal Reserve what to do.
Is this a bad economic policy? Yes. Well, too bad. Cry about it. Lol. That's
Yeah,
basically the Trump administration mantra at this point.
yeah. It's also part of like this broader, what he wants to do with the Federal Reserve is also part of this broader idea of like a unified executive theory of basically like, oh yeah, the Constitution says I get to be a dictator, basically. So we
Article
have
2
we
gives
have
me the power to do whatever I want to do in the Constitution. Article 2.
yeah, he's like Ron Swanson. Um, it's like, hey, who said you could fire the member of the NLRB for no actual reason? It's like holds up a card. Here's my permit. It's like I can do what I want. It's like, and it says unified executive theory. It's basically that, right? And the reason unified executive theory is not only like a bad policy, but is like legally wrong, is because Congress still passes laws about what happens in the executive branch. And the executive branch has to abide by those laws. You know, like that's sort of basically the reason we don't have that we have Congress and that we allow Congress to pass laws. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean. Sorry, I think Alan is actually watching in the YouTube audience. Alan, if you are, I have to email you a specific link for you to be able to join us directly. Um, you just head to our Facebook group chat that we've set up and provide me an email address. I can get you in here as soon as possible. I apologize for the confusion if I didn't explain that clearly. It happens. But yeah, I just saw one viewer, and I think I can show it. I saw this. It might be on your screen, and I was just like, yeah, you're
That
right.
is definitely an Alan Thomas.
I was just like, yeah, you're right. But yeah, this is how I'm using to explain a little thoroughly. I'm using a software called StreamYard, and it I need to email a join link for that.
We do love a good candidate with two first names.
That's true. That's true. I mean, double first name, double the fun. But in the meantime, let's see if let's take a look at his website because I had his campaign poster up. Um, my cat wanted to. Uh, my cat's being a little weirdo. He's like nudging. He's like nudging his way up against my mouse. Um,
Is it playing a little game of cat and mouse there?
yeah, he's literally playing cat and mouse. He's
I'm
10 years.
going to get assassinated for my puns.
Oh, I've heard worse. Trust me. He's technically he is 10 years old, so he doesn't play as much. This is just kind of his way of interacting.
Ah,
All right. I have a email address, so stand by, Alan. Expect a email from a McCain Adam 2000 here in just a moment. Check your junk mail if you do not see it otherwise. But yeah, for today's broadcast, I mentioned I have a new bag of tricks for keeping up. I can use hotkeys. In other words, hotkeys pretty much mean shortcuts. And
so what you got for us? Get Adam. What you gonna show us?
it's basically faster ways to because you know how I like to bounce between screens on the stream. It's basically a faster way to do that. So I can do this. I can isolate who's speaking. I can do that. I can do a spotlight layout, all at the touch of a button.
Nice.
It's a neat little bag. It's a neat little bag of tricks, and it is one that'll be very, very helpful with me because that way I can just quickly press buttons and quickly keep talking.
Yeah.
But yeah, Alan should be joining us shortly. This reminds me of the old ASDF movies of that one scene where one of them says, "Alan, are you a cow?" What? No, I'm a real man. And then it cuts to a guy saying, "Yes, I am real man. You guys want to go skateboards?"
I need so much context.
There's this in that ASDF movie. Alan has arrived. Alan, Alan, can you talk to us for a sound check?
Sound check.
Coming through crystal clear. How you doing?
All right.
President.
Is there a indoor spot you could get to? Because we're hearing you fine. Just your Wi-Fi connection is a little iffy.
Good diagnosis.
Yeah. So it's going to be iffy, unfortunately. If you want to be able to hear me, an indoor location right now is not going to work.
Okay, what I'll do is I can manually adjust your microphone. I'll just crank it up manually real quick.
Yep. Sorry about that.
So this is Alan Thomas. He's running in. He is the Democratic nominee for Alabama's 50th House District in the legislature, which is to the north of Jefferson County. Well, does it include parts of Jefferson County?
A very tiny sliver. So just make sure you hear me. It's to the east of Jefferson County. I am predominantly St. Clair, the western half of St. Clair County. The way that they've gerrymandered this particular map is, for the most part, they used the St. Clair County line on the western side of it and then drew a line straight down the middle. But I've got a weird little tail at the south end. So I'm going to be representing Springville, Argo, Margaret, Odenville, Moody, Cook Springs, Eden, and then the Carrington subdivision in Trussville.
Gotcha. So is there any particular cultural or racial nature to that gerrymander? that impacts the race that you know of?
It not really. It's just it's honestly one of the least gerrymandered maps. I think it's just drawn in a really weird way. I think my district is gerrymandered so that other districts can have more of a racial makeup. Historically, St. Clair County has been overwhelmingly majority white and conservative. So the Republicans in power have very little concern with focusing on this area. They do have questions about places like Leeds or Irondale or Centerpoint or Clay uh, that have historically had more of a multicultural background, more of a racial diversity that doesn't exist here. But the fun thing about my district is that over the past 10 years, there's been quite a bit of change. City of Margaret, for instance, has grown by about, I don't know, 250% since 2015. It used to be a town of about 2,500, 3,000. Now it's over 7,500. And there's been a lot of diversity moving in with that. So the numbers are changing, the demographics are changing.
Yeah,
Uh,
has there been a statistical or anecdotal, if you've noticed, increase in the Hispanic population?
There's not, according to the data, there's less than 3% that are Hispanic in the district.
Gotcha.
Just for reference,
Yeah.
on screen now is House District 50 for anyone
Yeah,
that.
I just know a lot of central Alabama and rural Alabama and suburban Alabama places have seen a lot of growth in Hispanic population in recent years. But yeah, this kind of brings us to the first written question. Just, when did a non-incumbent Democrat last win in your district?
Democrat? I don't
Yeah,
know. I have not gone that far back into history. When I was looking into whether or not to qualify, I went back 24, 26 years and stopped at that point. That's about the time that there was the last contested election. It has been a single player only election for 24 years, and it's just been Republicans running. When the last time a Democrat held this seat, couldn't tell you. I honestly don't know.
so why should people get on board with your effort? It seems like it's been a long time since a Democrat has even tried, and the last time they tried, did they win?
No, no, they haven't
Right.
won in a long time. Well, the same reason that a Democrat should try anywhere in this state. First and foremost, you're not going to have a free and fair election if there's only one candidate on the ballot. That's not a choice. That's not representation. That's coronation and anointment of the successor to the previous Republican, and that's just unacceptable. So, a little bit of background on me to help make that answer make a little bit more sense. I did all of my undergrad or a lot of my undergraduate and graduate work in political theory and political philosophy, as well as a good bit in comparative politics. So I spent a lot of time studying elections in Latin America over the course of the 80s and 90s and what defined a free and fair election. And I refuse to believe on a philosophical standpoint that any election is can even be defined as an election if there is just one person on the ballot. Now, why would somebody in St. Clair County vote for a Democrat? Well, easy, because the Republican supermajority does not follow its own mantras of fiscal conservatism or lowering taxes. They're raising taxes, they're spending more money indiscriminately, and the people are hungry, the people are without health care, the people are with really crappy roads, and we're not seeing much benefit from it. We're seeing the benefit going to the people that are grafting and grifting off of the contracts and the shady backroom deals from the good old boy network. And honestly, I think that's what I'm running against, not the Republican Party. I'm running against a good old boy network that's lived here for 200 years and doesn't want to step forward into the future, into the 21st century.
Yeah, I guess my question, right, and I understand, right, that this can be turned back on me as someone who is running in an extremely red um, district that has been that way since like the late 90s, early 2000s, right? But you've done your job of getting on the ballot, right? So if it seems like the deck is so stacked against you, why should even people who don't like the Republicans or who are aligned with you already, why should they make the effort of donating, of getting their friends to vote, things like that?
That's an easy answer. The people of this country and the people of this state want qualified representatives to go to Montgomery or Washington, D.C., that will actually advocate for them, that are intelligent enough to construct policies that respect rights, protect liberties, and deliver the social structure that we need as a state or a nation to thrive. And I have the experience, I have the knowledge, I have the will, and I don't take this as a title. I take this as a position and a profession, not in a career sense, but there's a job to do. Some people are capable and willing of doing the jobs, others are not. And I'm one of the ones that's both capable and willing and able to ensure that we get the job done.
Nice. So I've noticed, for instance, with this mug, right?
Yep,
I bought this mug for $15. Yeah.
yep.
Um, so, but with a lot of you're running in a state race, um, yet a lot of your themes have, like with the Pledge of Allegiance and with the American flag and the Statue of Liberty, have been nationalistic themes rather than like state themes or state colors. Why choose that instead of like Alabama
It,
centered themes?
because at the very base of it all, we're all American.
Yeah.
Facts, no printer. We are all American. Alabama is part of America.
That's pretty much it. I mean, we are a nation of 50 states united together, and federalism is the core construct of that structure. And when we go into the state house in Montgomery, we're going in there as Americans, period.
Yeah. And
And
you pledge allegiance to both. You take an oath both to the state and federal constitution. But if one contradicts the other, then you are loyal to the U.S.
the,
Constitution first.
the, the federal constitution takes priority.
Yeah.
And when it comes to things like the Pledge of Allegiance, and I've been hitting that hard because the conservatives in our state want to pass laws after laws after laws to enshrine that in our public school, make sure that we have student-led prayer, to make sure that there's a Ten Commandments there. And so there's an effort here to turn this populist nationalism on its head and remind all of the conservatives that, this is a secular patriotism, not a white nationalist Christianity of sorts where we worship a pledge to a flag right alongside a Ten Commandments. That's not the way that our government was constructed. I fully believe in church and state, and if the state is going to start acting in ways that are religious and cult-like, well, then there needs to be some sort of stop against that, some sort of brakes on those crazy trains.
And with that sentence, you have just, I don't live in that district, but if I did, with that sentence, you would have sold me.
Well, thank you, sir. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, and donate. And if you want to do any volunteering and phone banking for me, I'll be getting a list of names and numbers to call.
Oh yeah. Adam is also a graphic designer. So if you find that you need any more uh, graphics from and you have like you have some kind of problem getting in touch with your other people, like he's available.
I'm
Sounds
more of
good.
I'm equally skilled as a web designer. I do that freelance, but I consider myself a better website designer than a graphic designer. But I have a natural knack for both, honestly.
Where do you live, Adam? If you don't mind me asking.
I live. Let's see. I'm looking at. I live pretty far southwest of you. From what I see, I live
Adam, just
in.
tell him Montevallo. He's gonna know where Montevallo is.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
Montevallo. Yeah,
or you could have just told me a state house district who your candidates were. That
I
that
don't
would have
even know
been
my
fine
state
too.
house district yet.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
for
know he's in
shame.
Mandy Ledkin's state senate district, or April
Well, that's
Weaver's.
good. You can. Yeah, no, April Weaver can go. April Weaver is one of
Yeah.
those white Christian nationalists that has no business being in the state house, proposing law after law after law that violates the First Amendment of the Constitution should be an immediate disqualifier for office.
I have
She
figured
and
out
Shay
I
shall
am
not need to go.
49.
Gotcha. So, speaking of a woman we do like, who is very much not a Christian nationalist, um, do you, based on what you know about it, do you support Representative Marilyn Lanz's proposal for direct ballot initiatives?
Yes, 100%. Yes, absolutely. I think our ballot access overall in this state is excessively regressive. It protects both the Republican and the Democratic Party at the expense of the people. If we open up ballot access to independent candidates, third party candidates, or even the people to have a say in what they want, then we're going to be doing a lot better as a populace.
Right. Uh, so I raised this question with Robert Hunter as well. What I didn't say with that is we partly because we got more into a conversation with about like recall elections and stuff was when I read the bill and I made like one post about it, but I didn't beat a dead horse because it didn't pass, of course. You know, but my concern would be that, so we already have a way for people to vote on constitutional amendments. That's part of the process. So my concern is in a state where statewide we've voted in Tommy Tuberville and Donald Trump, right? That you take away the way for the legislature to block something, right? Because there are a lot of bad ideas that get brought up in the legislature that could get like majority support one way or the other, but they get because you have those voices of the minority in the legislature, right? That they get they don't go anywhere. So that's my concern about it. I would be more interested in more democracy on like the local level or in terms of making our elections more democratic. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I do see what you're saying there, and my ultimate goal would be to see an increase in participation amongst the populace. Like, our voter participation is incredibly low, and part of it is because people think that their vote just doesn't count. It doesn't matter, that the Republicans are just going to win. The supermajority is going to control everything, and so they stay out of it. Or the Democratic Party fields candidates that are part of some machine that, again, don't represent the people. So finding solutions and working towards ways that the voice of the people can actually be heard, I'm 100% for.
Just adding on to that, the one number that I can find is in the 2024 presidential election, only 58.9% of eligible voters in Alabama participated. That is the lowest since 1988. That is far too low. So yes,
Yep.
I agree with you. Voter turnout, we got to do better with that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Dig
and that,
Adam, while you're on that right now, sorry to cut you off, Jacob, but while you're on that, go one step further. This little experiment is one of my favorite. Go one step further and see what the breakdown between left and right were.
I'll take.
I want to say.
I'll take a look.
I want to. I want to say that, and I'm terrible at remembering exact statistics like this with so many different races, but I want to say that of the 58% of Alabamians that voted in that election, it amounted to roughly 32% of the population that voted for Trump. And that figure is pretty parallel to what it was nationwide. And it drives me bonkers that we have a ruling party in power that is in power based off of the support of less than a third of the population.
yeah. So one of the I've written a little op-ed type thing that I've at this point posted in Patreon, which I normally just reserve for poetry. I posted it in Substack, and I posted it in multiple places on Facebook, where I propose like multiple ways to improve the process in Alabama. And one of them I proposed is, and I admitted it would be the most controversial and most complicated of the things I was proposing, because the other ones was things like eliminating partisan races for sheriffs, and getting rid of the straight ticket. But I think it would be great, right, if when Democrats take back the legislature, they made it so that the electoral college votes are given by congressional district. So you'd have one or two districts where the it would probably go to the Democrats. You know.
Sure.
I have.
Yeah, instead of the state take all.
Sorry, I have the closest result I can get to comparing turnout. In 2024, the Republicans that voted for, you'll never guess who, Donald Trump, were 1,462,616 versus 772,412 Democratic votes, with 21,324 voting independent.
So 2.25 million people voted. That's less than 50% of the state.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And as far as go ahead.
And 1.5 million for the Republican out of 5 million people, 5 million plus people. That's not even 25%. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
And when you look at my district, why would people vote for me? To go back to that question, well, our House districts are roughly about 40,000 residents. And when people turn out to vote for House District 50, only about 25% of them max show up. In the primary, it wasn't even 5,000 showed up for the Republican. And so that means that a exorbitant proportion of the population is out there unrepresented. They're underrepresented. They don't have a voice. And there's got to be someone to step up and say, hey, I'll be a voice for you since no one else is around.
Just the last thing to add on to that voter comparison, that was the highest number voted for Trump, 1.46 million, based off of the 2024 Alabama population that I could find was 5.16 million as of 2024.
Yeah, and what's the whole population of the Birmingham area?
I will look that.
Birmingham Metro.
Birmingham Metro. Like, is Birmingham Metro might
Yeah,
even be more than 1 million.
I think the metro area is a little bit over 1 million,
Right.
but it depends on how you define the metro area.
887,000. So close.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much function like an answer to this has beyond like the fun, cutesy little uh, discussions we have sometimes about like what is the South, right? That type of thing. But like, do you consider where you live or in St. Clair County, do you consider that like Birmingham? Like, would you tell if you were talking to someone out of state, would you say you live near Birmingham?
Yes, absolutely. And here's an irony, though. West St. Clair County generally has not been included in the Birmingham metro area. Now, Moody may be included, but places like Argo, Margaret, and Springville generally are not included. St. Clair County has a history of being a rural agricultural county. However, over the last 20 years, the development in especially the western suburbs of Birmingham or the western municipalities of the county here uh, has been increasingly joining with and mimicking what other Birmingham suburbs are doing. So the Greater Birmingham Regional Planning Commission, for instance, is working with a couple of municipalities on their zoning ordinances and getting those long-term planning plans in place. The Greater Birmingham Regional Planning Commission works with Homewood and Mountain Brook and all of the others. We have two major state highways running through the district. We've got 411 that runs from Moody through Odenville, and then we have Highway 11 that goes from Trussville to Springville. And what we're noticing as the zoning creeps in and the subdivisions grow and crop up all across the district is that those highways are quickly becoming uh, more akin to Pelham or Alabaster on Highway 31, where the growth and development is following that same progress and going down the same path that Pelham and Alabaster saw in the mid 90s. We're just a couple of decades behind, but a couple of decades from now, West St. Clair County is going to look just like North Shelby County.
Yeah, I think this is one of my concerns is that we build more highways alongside like urban sprawl, and we fix our problems by focusing on like car and highway centered solutions, and that kind of goes back to the conversation about voter turnout, because like I talked to a woman who worked at a Waffle House in rural Jefferson County, and she said she only because she's partially sight impaired, right? She only votes in presidential elections. I mean, I think you can get an absentee ballot to vote in other elections. Can you? Like if you're blind, but also there are accommodations, right? I definitely want people to know about all of the accommodations you can get for your disabilities for voting, including things like skipping the line, including having your own, getting like physical accommodations at the polls. But like also, it's like a matter of like public transportation and having walkable communities would be great for the disability community and would probably do a good bit for voter turnout in the long run. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Uh, when we talk about the infrastructure projects, uh, Ainsworth wants to.
I think you said something about the
Hello?
lieutenant governor.
Yeah, Ainsworth wanted to build or wants to expand I-65 from Tennessee to the Gulf of Mexico. And while that's a fine idea and all, putting a passenger rail system in as part of public transportation can greatly increase the economic opportunities of the state, the ability to travel and move, is especially from some of the rural communities in the northwest or western parts of the state or southwest, where there are no jobs there. So people have to travel extensive ways to get to their employment opportunities. There's a similar situation ongoing here in West St. Clair County in House District 50. Most of the residents of this district leave the area to go to work. Like, they go completely out of district. Margaret, for instance, is just one example. Again, population of about a little over 7,000, has less than 20 people that stay within the Margaret city limits for work.
So then it
Everyone else
becomes
leaves the district.
so then it becomes an issue of local small businesses and local medium-sized businesses too, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And when you create walkable cities, and I don't mean 15-minute cities in the AI tech world. I don't mean it like that. I mean walkable cities where there are neighborhoods and local businesses, shops, coffee shops, bookstores, um, antique stores, if you will, just name it, where they're all localized in a central area. Like, that does so much to help a business or help a community. You're growing your own population. You're supporting your neighbors. You're helping Sandy and John send little Susie to cheer camp, or Adams playing football for the local school football team. It
he was
helps
the
locally.
Helena Husky mascot.
Yeah, I actually was. In my last semester of high school, I was the Husky, which was funny because it was me and it was a girl a third my size, and I'm like 6'2", and this girl was like I said, a
Wait,
third my size. So it
when
wasn't that difficult to guess when it was me.
when did you graduate from Helena?
2018.
2018. All right. Here's something you're going to love about background to get Thomas from HD50. When the city of Helena was working to Helena schools, which worked to raise money for the school, for the athletics program, to help serve as a steering committee for things that we needed the school to have for the residents of Helena. And choosing the Husky mascot was one of the first things that we did. We actually had a poll that went out to the whole city of what they wanted the mascot to be.
I remember it was either that or it was either that's the wrong layout. It was a conflict between that or the Hawks or something like that, something along those lines.
There was also minors were also on the district or on the ballot.
Now that's a sentence that sounds bad out of context.
Minors on the ballot. Yeah, that does sound. Depends on the spelling.
Yeah, I mean,
Now
there are worse things.
who's getting assassinated for puns?
There are worse things. I mean, maybe there's not, but there are worse things minors could be doing than running for office. I don't know. I've read young adult books about kids running for president. Anyway, I should have incorporated this into the written questions or the introduction, but yeah, Alan, tell everyone what you do currently.
I am running for House District 50. In order to pay that cruel mistress Alabama power, I define myself as a day laborer in the service industry, where I have no union protections. My income is based on whatever happens that day and however the winds blow or the rains may pour.
Yeah, that's why y'all need to elect me and Amanda Puszczek, uh, Amanda P. I don't know how to pronounce her name, so we can pass the Protecting Right to Organize Act.
Yeah, Amanda is good people, and I hope she wins. I and honestly, watching all of the congressional races in the state, I truly believe that we might actually flip from 2 blue districts to 4, maybe 5. I think we've got a good chance to elect some Democrats, and instead of having a 6-to-1 delegation, we could have shoot. It could be 6-to-1 blue. The blue team could just collect all of them, like little
That's fair.
Pokemon.
Yeah.
Because we've got
So,
really good candidates. The thing is, we've got really good qualified candidates that know what they're doing, and it's more than just red or blue, Republican or Democrat. These are people that care about their neighbors and their countrymen and their statesmen. These are people that are going to Washington and Montgomery that truly want to do a good job for everybody. And that's putting people over politics. And I think that is going to make a major difference this year come November 3rd.
yeah. So, what common ground have you found with Republicans in your district?
You're going to love this one. Marijuana and hemp.
Based.
That's the
I'm not surprised by that. Honestly, when I was growing up in Homewood, and ever since I've talked to people since then, it seemed like just a minority opinion that it should still be illegal. Like at most, nobody cares. But even people who are like against gay marriage or were against trans people were for legalizing marijuana. You know?
Oh
There
no.
are so many that are upset that they cannot get CBD gummies for fill in the blank illness, ailment, etc. They were so happy when that passed and those products were available, and they're kind of pissed off that they're not now.
Yeah, that's a one of the reasons we need the younger generation to take over is because it's really just like a minority of older people who are still so dead set on it seems like who are so dead set on keeping marijuana criminalized. Um, and then it's like you try to set up like not even a marijuana shop but like a vape and CBD shop, and then like the city council messes you over by adding on a bunch of fees because we just let old people run everything, and we shouldn't do that. You know, and
Yeah.
no offense to old people, we need a diversity of voices in like
Wow.
every way.
We
Wow. Jacob is old people list. Jacob is old people list. Terrible. Terrible. I just discovered I had a soundboard. I wanted to use it.
Go ahead.
it's not just old people. It's yes, a lot of the decisions being made are definitely coming from that generation, but there are also some pretty significant systemic and structural hurdles that we have for that, like the Alabama Cannabis Board and the ABC Board and the Pharmacy Board. We have all of these regulatory agencies within the state that set their own rules that are unaccountable and are vying for their piece of the pie. They want the power to control various things. And when they control various things, that means they get to implement fees for various things. And so it's a money grab. When these state agencies and boards control a particular issue, they now have a state sanctioned monopoly on them. They they overregulate the free market. They extract exorbitant fees from entrepreneurs and people just trying to do business. And it's really detrimental to capitalism as a whole. And this is why I love DSA and the extreme leftists so much, is that we have ways for capitalism to actually work in the state. Our state just doesn't do it. And even if we continued with the state the way that it is, extracting fees, collecting taxes, just simply reevaluating our values and how that money should be reallocated or spent. It's not to line pockets. It's not to reward your buddies with this favorable state contract. We could use that for our education system, for our healthcare, for the infrastructure, to make sure that no child in this state has to go hungry. We can solve these issues. It just takes a few people getting out of the way of progress, and even their own capitalism that they would want to uphold as gospel.
Yeah, so basically, even though it sounds weird, right, what you're saying is you need the voices of socialists and people who are critical of the capitalism in the state as they are, capitalism to work.
Yes. Yeah. We need unions for capitalism to work.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is the New Deal. This is basically the philosophy of the New Deal Democrats, which like it once upon a time that was Alabama Democrats. You
Once
know,
upon a time.
it's even in a song. You know, from a band called Alabama. You have any?
So let's.
Go
I'm
ahead.
not familiar. Yeah, I'm not familiar with the
Oh,
song. So
Song of the South by Alabama. You ever heard it?
probably it's
Yeah.
not
So
my
he had a
typical type of
line.
music.
They had a line about it's old Southern rock. He had a line about Daddy was a Southern Democrat. There's something about Roosevelt in there, and he said, "I'd love to see a rich man vote like that."
Fair enough.
Yeah. But so here's my last written question, and then we can do whatever we want. Who do you want to run for president?
That was definitely not a question I was expecting to answer today. Who do I want to run?
That's how we do it. Critical Dispatch 6. When you think we zig, we zag, baby.
Jon Stewart or Stephen Colbert? Final answer.
Fair enough. Going with the
Jacob, I think you went
Lost.
dark on us.
Yep.
But yeah, I get what you mean. One of the things I'd want to see Jon Stewart run for is because he has a tendency to he did this on a show that he did between the Daily Show and when he came back to the Daily Show called The Problem. And one of the things that he did on that show was he interviewed the Arkansas Attorney General, and he ate that woman alive on camera. He just it was beautiful seeing that. He just humiliated her in front of the country.
I'll have to go back and take a look at that one. But yeah, first of all, Jon Stewart cares about the people. He's very educated on all of the issues. He's going to stand up for, and if, regardless of whether or not he agrees with any particular war that you've served in, that disagreement is with the people that sent them there. And if the country is going to send any of its people into a situation, well, then the country needs to take care of those people. And I firmly believe that.
Just a quick addendum. I'm saying this because saying that he fights for the people is a politician thing. It's something everyone says about a politician. But I can name you an instance myself, where he genuinely fought for the people. If you've ever heard of an act called the PACT Act, you're welcome. You're welcome from him. You have him to thank for that, because welcome back, Jacob, because Jon Stewart basically shaming Congress in front of the entire country was one of the biggest things that got that passed. Like,
Yep.
There's a video out there. I can link it in the description. There's a video out there of him doing just that.
Yep, I've seen it. It's beautiful. It's a masterclass. And then when you bring in Stephen Colbert and the super PAC issues with Citizens, the voice of America that wants to see America return back to America before Citizens United and the Patriot Act destroyed everything that we believe in as a country.
Yeah. So for the two people watching us right now, and the one of them who might not know what Citizens United is or does, explain to them what that is, Alan.
Citizens United was a Supreme Court case, what was it, 2010, 2011?
2010, I believe.
That basically said that corporations were persons.
I will.
Oh, now he's dipped.
I will. While he was speaking, I was actually okay. He came back in. While he was speaking,
sorry, I don't know what happened there.
That's okay. You can proceed with what you were saying, because while you were talking, I was actually finding a resource to put up on screen about Citizens United, because there is a QR code on screen right now for your website. But I'm going to switch it real quick and switch it back.
All right. So Citizens United said that corporations were people with respect to free speech. So an issue came before the Supreme Court that a corporation was spending money in a political election, and they tried to stop it. Well, Citizens United tried to stop it. So when it got to the Supreme Court said no, free speech is free speech, and using money is a way to broadcast that speech. And for the purposes of political advertising, corporations are persons, and they are fully allowed to speak freely. And what that amounted to was unlimited campaign spending. It's one of the reasons why over the last 15 years that elections have become so costly. Yesterday Joe Reed was talking about how an election just simply for the state house of Alabama should cost $500,000. Okay, sure. That's insane. You've got out-of-state interests dropping millions of dollars into local races. That's not representative of the people. And all the money, all the special interests end up drowning out the true issues and who matters. And politicians end up serving the goals of those that got them elected, that purchased those seats for them, like Alabama Power, or Alpha, or the AEA. There's plenty in this state too. That the will of corporations has suddenly overtaken what the will of the people is.
Yeah, we could not agree more. Hey, we are just running low on time for today. So we are going to go ahead and reel this one in. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Any sort of plugs you'd like to have? Any sort of plugs you'd like to make? I'm about to put up a QR code to your website on the top right of the screen.
Yeah. Please do. Everybody donate. I'm not trying to get to $500,000. I don't need 500,000. If I could just get 5,000, that would be good. I'm not trying to do this spending everything I can and advertisements everywhere. I think that defeats the purpose. The message can get out without it. And I think it also reflects on the type of budgetary fiscal parliamentarian I would be, that, we po folk know how to budget things a little bit better and not waste money. We have to in order for survival. And that's something that when you're sitting in a gilded castle, you lose sight of. The other thing the other thing that people tend to lose sight of is that when we say with liberty and justice for all, I'm going to bring it back to the Pledge of Allegiance, whether it's state or national, doesn't matter because the state wants to legislate it anyway. But we have to remember when we say with liberty and justice for all, y'all want to legislate that. Y'all want to mandate it. Okay, then let's have liberty and justice for all. And all means y'all. That's everybody. That's all of us. We're all in this together. We're all neighbors. It's not about white or black or brown. It's not about red or blue. It's all about me and you.
I could not agree more. I could not. Looks like Jacob keeps dipping in and out. So I think I can go ahead and thread this needle, reel this one in. That anyway. This has been Critical Dispatch 6. We have today. We spoke.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for joining us. If you were like waiting, if you're busy, we don't want to hold you up. We don't. I can go ahead and drop you whenever you're ready, but I just didn't want you to think like you have to wait until something's finished.
I'm here until we're done. Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity, and catch you on the flip side.
Thank you again for joining us. This has been Critical Dispatch 6. Y'all have a good day.